What just happened? Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture, and we are here for the ups and downs for Wishworld, the penultimate episode of Season 2. Before we continue though, I really wish there was a way that I could stay more private and secure while out and about online. Oh wait! There is! It's our sponsor for this season of Ups and Downs, Surfshark. Using a VPN like Surfshark is essential when you're away from home and you still need your access to all your Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer content. They offer 3,200 different servers in over 100 locations, so no matter where your TARDIS has landed, you can change your virtual location and still keep up with new episodes of Doctor Who, and all your other shows as well. And folks, we are right in the end game for Season 2 now, so absolutely no excuses for not keeping up to date. Not only that, but Surfshark also protects your data when using public Wi-Fi, so you don't become a victim of things like fraudulent purchases or identity theft. That dodgy-looking public Wi-Fi network may still be dodgy, but you can use it safe in the knowledge that Surfshark has got your back. Surfshark also offers 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money-back guarantee. And make sure you also check out Surfshark Alert, a breach detection system that notifies you of personal data leaks. So click the link in the description or use code WhoCulture at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Big up to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and now let's get into the ups and downs for Wish.
Now, it's time for today's story. Doctor Who and the Deadly Witch.
So we open this episode with the Rani stealing a baby in 1865, the 7th son of the 7th son of the 7th son. Now I will say, I was a little bit confused about how this normal baby is somehow a god. I'm assuming it's something to do with a superstition or folklore surrounding the 7th son situation, but I was a little bit confused. And also, how did the Rani know exactly where and when to go to get this baby? I did like the little detail later of them saying that it chuckles away, and then we had that famous giggle sound from the baby. That was kind of creepy, a little bit ominous. What I will say about this scene though, and it's my first up for the episode, is I think that Archie Panjabi plays the Rani really, really well, especially in this scene. I think she plays the villainous role very, very well, and I really enjoy her performance throughout this episode. Now what's quite interesting is there has actually been some debate amongst our team about this portrayal of the Rani. Some people suggesting that perhaps she doesn't have the balance of intimidation and the campiness of the character right. I would disagree. I think she was actually really, really good. I really enjoyed this iteration of the character. I can agree that it's a different characterization to how Kate O'Mara played the character, but not so far that I don't believe that this is the Rani. I mean, to me, that's the whole point of regeneration, that we see a slight variation of this character. If it was just a copy and paste of the same performance every single time, then regeneration would be pretty boring. And I don't feel that the performance is so far removed from that we saw from Kate O'Mara that it takes me out of it. I think she actually did a really, really good job. But it is interesting that there has been a debate about this and about the balance of intimidation and campiness. I think she did pretty well. I really like the abruptness that she has with Mrs Flood, who I will get back to later, so don't you worry. I love the playfulness, the confident playfulness when she's teasing the Doctor later on when they're dancing. I think overall she actually does a very, very good job as the Rani. But while we're talking about the Doctor, let's come in with another up for this episode. The Doctor and Belinda wake up as a married couple with a baby in this kind of utopian dystopia. That's my way of explaining it, because it is a dystopia the more you dig into it, but it's kind of framed as a utopia. And I absolutely love this element of the episode. This is probably my favourite element of the episode. It's so, so good. I honestly would have liked to have seen more exploration of this element of the episode. A little bit of a deeper dive into the lives of the characters within this world. It gave off major like WandaVision vibes, Truman Show vibes, even thinking within the show itself, Turn Left or the Monk trilogy. I really loved this concept. I think it was really, really clever. And I really liked how they adapted Unit to fit within the context of it. The design of Unit HQ to fit within the context of this Wish world, I think worked really, really well. And then, of course, this whole concept of expressing doubt or thinking outside of this predetermined box. and that causing slips. That's really clever. I really loved that. And that part of the story was intriguing to me. I really did feel like, what's going on here? And the idea of the cups falling. I thought that was really good. I think I especially loved the change in tone when the Doctor is talking to Colonel Sexy and says that he's a beautiful man, which he is, by the way. Just saying. But I really loved that change in tone in that moment. It went from kind of a very chirpy, funny moment to quite a serious change in tone, and I think that worked really, really well. But also, can we just mention that even in this twisted reality, even in Conrad's wish world, there is still a spark between Kate and Colonel Sexy. Just saying. Actually, I really loved Kate in this scene as well. It just goes to show that I love Kate Stewart in whatever iteration she is shown in, because she was quite snobby and rude in this episode, and yet I still love her. But yeah, in terms of the dystopia, utopian dystopia world that we're in, I really, really enjoyed those scenes of this kind of uncomfortable, happy life. You know, the whole situation of the Doctor and Belinda being married, it felt wrong. It felt weird. Sometimes if you'd put the Doctor and a companion in a relationship, it could have been okay. Like sometimes you might see that chemistry between them, but in this situation it just felt so wrong, purposefully. But it just seemed like, oh, hang on a second. Yeah, it was very strange. And then Captain Poppy is their baby. What? But while we're on the topic of the wish world, basically this is created from Conrad's imagination. And throughout the episode, he's telling everyone this story of Doctor Who. But the one thing that I really don't understand about this wish world of Conrad's, I get the kind of perceived perfect life that he wants them to be living. I mean, if you look at the kind of viewpoints of the character back in Lucky Day, the whole idea of the woman's job is to be the mother and be at home, be the perfect wife, they shouldn't work. All of that element of this world, this reality, totally fits. Why are there giant dinosaur skeletons roaming around though? Where does that fit in? Giant dinosaur skeletons, what's that all about? And someone else, or other people who were confused by those giant skeletons, dinosaurs, was Shirley and Ruby. And while we're on the topic of Shirley and Ruby, in relation to this wish world environment, I do have another up. And it's this concept of those that Conrad doesn't even consider, doesn't even think about, slipping under the radar. I think it's such a powerful message, I guess, although that's maybe not the right word. I think it's just very powerful that it's not that he purposefully, consciously erased these people from his reality, from this world. He didn't even give them a thought. He didn't purposefully, consciously think to remove them. He didn't think about them at all. He didn't consider them at all. And in doing so, managed to completely ignore the fact that they exist in his world. And I think that was a really powerful concept for the episode to explore. Not that I don't like these types of people, I think these types of people are this, this or this, and so I'm going to purposely, consciously make a decision to not have them in this reality. It's, they're not even people I think about, and so they manage to just slip under the radar, slip into this reality, because they're not even on his mind, whether it's negatively or positively, and I think that's really powerful. It actually gave me major vibes of Silence in the Library, well, maybe Forest of the Dead, when Miss Evangelista is in the library's data core, but because she doesn't fit in, because she has lost her beauty and she's different to everybody else, she then is able to notice that the world around her isn't right, because she doesn't fit into the mold of what the world is, what that reality is, so she's able to see the things that are wrong, the things that aren't right in the world. And that's what this is. This is exactly the same situation. Those who are perceived as other or different don't fit the mold of this reality, and so they sit outside of that, and they can see where the issues lie, and they can then help solve the problem. And I think that's really, really brilliant. I love that concept. I just appreciate this outlook that those who are different or perceived as different see the world in a different light, and they're not useless. In fact, they can actually help. By seeing things in a different way, they can offer a solution to something that others are completely oblivious towards. And I think it's really great to see Shirley and Ruby in this episode as well. I was a little bit concerned about how Ruby was going to fit into this. Obviously, we did see her at the beginning of the episode talking to the doctor, but I was like, how does Ruby fit into this situation? And I think it's working out very well so far. It's great to see her and Shirley working together. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. One thing I will say, though, about the Wish World situation, and I'm afraid it is a down for this episode, is I feel like as an audience, we actually were told too much about what was going on. I mean, just imagine how much more gripping would this episode have been if it had opened with the Doctor and Belinda waking up as a married couple with a baby in this twisted reality, and then the confusion in the Doctor, the realization in the Doctor slowly building without knowing what's going on ourselves. But instead, we don't get to experience that build-up. And we basically know the secret. We don't get to devise our own ideas about what might be going on, who has trapped them, what the big plan is, because we already know what the plan is. The Rani has trapped the Doctor and everybody else in this Wish World reality created by the God of Wishes and Conrad. We know that. We've been told that right from the beginning when she went and got the baby and made the wishes happen, spoke about wishes. We've seen Conrad in that room. So it kind of just it meant that we, rather than learning with the Doctor about what's possibly going on, already knew. So there was no build-up for us as the audience. What I actually think would have been better is if they had removed the Rani reveal from the end of the Interstellar Song Contest and then put it at the end of this episode. You know, keep us guessing about who or what could possibly be causing this. How has the Doctor been trapped in this reality? What's going on? And then, rather than just slapping that reveal on the end of an episode that had nothing really to do with the character or what was going on, wow us with this big reveal at the end of this episode and not just tell us the plan basically at the beginning when you revealed that the baby had powers to create wishes. Anyone else agree? I don't know, I just actually feel like the Rani reveal would have been better at the end of this episode, as opposed to tacked on at the end of last week's episode. And this week's episode would have been better if we'd had more mystery about what was going and being confused like the Doctor is and learning about the situation unfolding with the Doctor rather than us watching but already knowing what's going on and who's causing it. But anyway, we do see the Doctor start to realise that something isn't quite right in this world, and who should show up on his TV screen but Rogue! And Susan. But Rogue was certainly the most unexpected appearance in this episode. Now, with the Omega reveal at the end of the episode, I suppose it does make sense that Rogue is potentially trapped in the same dimension as Omega, but I do kind of feel myself wondering why Rogue appeared and how he fits into all of this beyond being just, it would be great if we could have Rogue there. You know, like, it was great to see him, but I'm wondering if there's really much significance to him being there other than him perhaps being trapped in the same dimension. I don't know. And then obviously we have Susan, but like I said last week, I'm really hoping that this isn't it. I really hope there's more from Susan. I hope we get to see that reunion between Susan and the Doctor properly. But I also kind of feel like that the message that Rogue gives to the Doctor could have easily come from Susan. I mean, obviously not the part about being trapped in this different dimension, but that wasn't necessarily vital information. Susan could have very easily said, tables don't do that. And the thing that could kind of create that doubt is, I know her. She's my granddaughter. Like, that could have easily been the thing that kind of triggered his doubt. So I just feel like it was great to see Rogue, but why did we see Rogue specifically over just having Susan there? Or, you know? Anyway, the Doctor does start to express doubt, and Belinda reports him. God damn you, Belinda, you reported him! I will say what I did like in this episode was the bond that Belinda seems to have with Poppy. Despite the fact that in reality she doesn't have a daughter, in this world she believes that she does, and I felt that Varada Sethu did a really good job of conveying that in this episode. That, you know, I have a child, and, you know, she really does believe that, and I think that was very good, to the point where, you know, I will sacrifice my husband to keep my child safe, that sort of thing. So I thought that worked really well. But anyway, they're both actually taken to the Rani. And it's actually Mrs Flood who comes down and sorts that out, arrests Belinda. Unfortunately, that does lead me to another down. I am quite disappointed with the use of Mrs Flood in this episode. I said last week that I was concerned that she was basically going to get sidelined, and that does seem to be the case. It feels like a bit of a waste of 2 seasons worth of build-up for basically Mrs Flood to just be this lackey that follows behind the Rani. Except for this scene here where she arrests Belinda and she delivers some great dialogue here. I wanted to see more of that side of Mrs Flood. I wanted to see more of evil Mrs Flood. We've had all this build-up expecting her to be something grand, and now she's just kind of following around this entirely new version of a character that could very easily have just been Mrs Flood. This is the question I kind of have. Why did we have to have bi-generation? Why could we not have had the Rani reveal and it be Mrs Flood? I just feel like we followed this character for 2 seasons, and it could have easily worked with Anita Dobson being the antagonist of these episodes. Why have we got a different version of the character? We could have just brought back the Rani and that is who Mrs Flood is. And why have we followed this one character this whole time and now we're just following a different one and she's just there in the background? I don't know, I just feel like bi-generation has its issues, and I feel like they kind of used it as a gimmick here when actually we could have easily just stuck with Mrs Flood as the big bad. In fact, I think that probably would have been better. Now, don't get me wrong, as I said at the beginning, I've given Archie Panjabi an up. I think she is brilliant as the Rani. I just don't feel that it was necessary for Mrs Flood to be sidelined. She could have just stayed as the baddie. She could have been the Rani. Why did we need the Rani and a Rani? Now, having said that, I do have a theory that potentially Mrs Flood will turn on the Rani in the next episode. We've seen a little bit of build-up of tension there. The Rani treats Mrs Flood very poorly. She's quite rude to her. And we've had a few scenes with Mrs Flood that definitely suggest to me that she might switch sides at some point. But even so, I would have preferred to have just seen her as the big bad for this episode. But anyway, while we are on the topic of the Rani, I do have a great up for this episode because I absolutely love her Sonic. Her Sonic screwdriver is so... I just love it so much. I can't even find the words. I might even go as far as to say this is my favourite Sonic design ever, of any Sonic screwdriver. It's so beautiful. Firstly, it's an actual Sonic shape. It's shaped like a Sonic screwdriver should be. It's not a glorified TV remote, so instantly that makes it better than the one we've currently got. And secondly, it has all these callbacks to her being a scientist. It's designed to look like an old medical syringe. It has that medical sciencey vibe to it that I really like, that attention to detail that links to who the Rani is as a character, what she's about. She's a scientist. She's a bit of a mad scientist doing these very crazy experiments, but that is who she is at the core, so I love that attention to detail in the design. Thirdly, it's purple, which is my favourite colour. But not only is it purple, the design of the top of that Sonic is like a flower. But not just any flower, because the prop designer, Michael Van Kesteren, actually revealed to me that this flower design was inspired by deadly nightshade flowers. Again, linking back to this whole medicinal element, this scientific element to the character. I think it's absolutely stunning. Beautiful. Well done, sir. Absolutely. You know what? You've redeemed yourself for the other Sonic. Whoever designed that. But that Sonic got so many downs from me because it just isn't a Sonic screwdriver. This, I need this Sonic in my life. I need it. It's beautiful. It is my favourite colour, so I might be biased. But while we're on the topic of devices used by the Rani, well, the Sonic is absolutely stunning, beautiful, well done. What was that hovercraft thing? Seriously? What was that? That was ridiculous. She looked like the Green Goblin, like whizzing around in the sky. Down. That was not good. And the CGI of that scene, that is the worst part of the episode. I don't know whose idea that was, but that was not good. I very much disliked the Rani whizzing around on that weird hovercraft throughout the skies of London. No, not for me. The Rani has the Doctor, and she basically reveals what her plan is, which is to free Omega. Unfortunately, that does lead me to another down, because I was not a fan of this very exposition-heavy ending to the episode. First of all, this big reveal about why she created this reality just felt overly complicated. Like, if she's got the God of Wishes, why did she need Conrad to build this whole reality? Why did she not just wish for Omega to be free? It just seemed overly complicated. Like, she'd made all this extra effort when she could have just wished for what she wanted in the first place. What is the point of this whole reality? Obviously, I know they do explain we want the doubt. Why did you need to create an entire reality to get doubt? I don't know. And it kind of felt like the purpose of this was to kind of torment the Doctor in some ways. But the Rani's never been about torturing the Doctor or tormenting the Doctor. The only time the Rani really cares is when she needs the Doctor's help with something, which is usually something that he won't willingly help with. So she gets frustrated with him because she wants his expertise and he refuses to help. Or she just gets frustrated when he tries to stop her from doing stuff. But she's not like the Master. She's not actively seeking out the Doctor to try and destroy him, beat him. That's not what their relationship is. So it just felt a little bit weird that she went through all this trouble of trapping the Doctor and all of... I don't know. It just felt overly complicated. I was quite confused by a lot was going on. And for a scene that was full of exposition, I found myself still confused about quite what the whole plan was and what the purpose of this whole reality had been. It just seemed like a lot of effort to get to where she wanted when she had the God of Wishes right there. Like, just wish for what you wanted. And then we get the Omega reveal, and it felt a little bit meh. Now, this is one of the most fearsome, powerful Time Lords in existence, and they're basically just name-dropped. We don't see them. They're name-dropped. That's it. I don't know, maybe next week everything will be solved and it'll be all fine. I do worry, I just find that Russell T Davies has a tendency to just bring back old villains, existing characters, rather than daring to do something exciting and new. I mean, literally, if you think back to every season finale or series finale that Russell T Davies has ever created, and it's the return of an existing villain. The Daleks, the Master, Davros, Sutek. It's never something new. We want now for them to be creating the monsters, the villains, the characters that in 30 years' time, someone goes, oh, they've brought that one back, rather than just the keep reusing. Create something so entirely new and enticing and exciting that in 30 years' time, we have the same reaction to when the Master first returned. You know? I would say I'm a little bit apprehensive going into this season finale, just feeling like there's a lot of loose ends here that need to be tied off, and are they going to be successful in doing that? I am very intrigued by the Doctor's final line that Poppy is real, I do have a daughter, don't you understand? That's intrigued me. I'm certainly excited by that. I'm hoping it's going to link to Susan somehow. Not sure how, but I'm hoping that's where it's going to go. I don't know that we needed the Omega reveal as well as the Rani. You know, we've already had this big Rani reveal. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I almost feel like it would have been better if we just had the Rani revelation, the Rani reveal at the end of this episode. Build up to this big question of who is making all this happen. Boom, it's the Rani. But we'd already had that, and now we're name-dropping another major Time Lord character. So what's going to happen next week? Which is not to say I'm not excited by it. There were just a few things in this episode that I found a little bit convoluted and overly confusing. As I say, I didn't dislike this episode. It very much feels like a part one. And it does mean that the reality war has a lot of pressure on it to close out all these stories, to tie up all these loose ends. And I am slightly concerned that it might not be successful. But I didn't dislike this episode. I did enjoy this episode. The dystopian, well, the utopian dystopia. Yes, the utopian dystopia elements, really loved that. As I said, I'd like to have seen more of that. Really enjoyed that element of the episode. It was probably my favourite element of the episode. As I say, it was certainly a bold choice to bring back another major Time Lord character in Omega. I just hope that the reality war can pull it off and that we have a really great season finale. Last year's season 1's finale, was a little bit underwhelming and disappointing, and I'm just really hoping that we don't follow suit and have the same thing this year. I really want the end of next week's episode to be like, what? Wow, they did a great job there. I'm a little bit apprehensive after what we've had in this episode, but there is still hope, and I'm absolutely happy for everyone to say, yeah, see, you were worrying about nothing after next week's episode. So fingers crossed that that's what's going to happen. And if anyone sees that we can buy the Rani's sonic screwdriver anywhere, tell me. I need it. Right now, I need it. But there you go, there are my ups and downs for Wish World. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Remember to be kind. We will have our usual spoiler discussion coming next week, as well as the Easter eggs and breakdown of the episode as well. We may even have another video with a bit of explanation about who Omega is, because there may be some confusion. I know there was some confusion about the Rani last week, so we've got you covered. And make sure, if you haven't already, that you've gone back and checked out all our coverage of the first 6 episodes of this season. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.